And hello, welcome to this video. So anyway, we're on our next video on OpenFOAM, and today we want to actually talk, well, before I continue, I actually want to talk about some of the last repos, about the last video. So in the last video I was talking about having a so-called junk repository for you to practice your repository cleaning up skills on. So this is where it is. This practice git cleanup. I'll put the link in the description as usual. Do remember to look at the video description. All the useful links will be there. Alright, so I tried to upload it in the last video via a git push, a force push in a sense. That didn't work because the file was too big, so I had to sort of copy file by file and upload it one at a time. So it's not exactly the same repository, but there's enough junk here for you to try and clean up. So what you should do is to, once you log into your Git account, click on fork repository. Okay, fork repository basically what it basically does is to copy the entire repository here into your own like personal folder or something, and once you have that, I think you can start messing around with that file. Okay, so you can start messing around with force pushing to git and all once you kind of do a fork of this repository. So that should allow you to practice whatever cleanup you need to do. But if most of your git files are tidy in order, then yeah, probably don't need to, but it's always good to learn. Yeah, so do give it a shot. And that's enough from the last video. And it was a very long way to recreate this very bloated repository. But I won't go through the steps that I actually took, but I'll go through more git stuff as we go on. Alright, for example, what is a branch and how to merge branches and all of that. So you can do different runs of OpenFOAM in different computers, or you can work together as a team or what have you. Okay, so these are just basic things you can do with Git. Now, back to our thin pipeflow snappy hex mesh repository. So now, as we have discussed previously, we have cleaned everything up, and now the file size is only about 36 megabytes. So this is perfect. It is very good. So what I want to do now is to kind of make a new folder. Okay, why do I want to make a new folder? I want to make a new folder because well, all these files here are sort of referred to. So when I made my first 50-ish videos of the OpenFOAM Intermediate series, I often put the link in the GitHub into GitHub and kind of keep telling the viewer, you guys to refer to these files. Okay, refer to these files, and I don't want to. And when I uploaded things onto Git, well, this was the file structure that I was telling you guys, or the users, the viewers, of what to watch, where these files are located. So they are located directly, first thing when you look into this repository, the files are right here, easy for you to find it and take a look. Okay, so but the thing is, yeah, if I start to organize everything and put it into different folders, it can be very confusing. So I'll just leave that there, and I'll just want to make a directory into something called Intermediate Plus. Okay, Intermediate Plus. All right, so every bit of whatever I do from now on, okay, will be put into this folder called Intermediate Plus. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do. Alright, so where we last left off was with a K epsilon sort of a pimple foam snappy pipe case. So this was one of the Reynolds average Navier-Stokes model. Okay, so I'm going to copy everything and I'm going to put it into the Intermediate Plus. Okay, and here is where it is. So I change directory to this Intermediate Plus, and of course I'll be introducing new commands every now and then. If you are still new to Linux or Windows subsystem for Linux, which is like Linux on Windows. All right, but more or less the commands are the same if you use Ubuntu, because this Linux Mint is actually based on Ubuntu. Okay, except with a very nice desktop and everything. So yeah, let me clear this thing up. All right, and okay, so what we were discussing in general is that we want to start making our simulation a little bit nicer, give it a little more diversity, in the sense of giving you more models than just K epsilon, because K epsilon is the starting point of when people talk about turbulence modeling, K epsilon is perhaps the first model you will come across. Okay, but this actually falls under the class of Reynolds average Navier-Stokes, or RANS. So what I'm going to do is quickly rename this as instead of K epsilon pimple foam snappy pipe, I will call it a pimple foam RANS template snappy pipe. What is this RANS template? RANS is Reynolds average Navier-Stokes, and I want to use this as a file to start changing. Okay, to start changing things. So I want to change up the FE solutions, the FE schemes and everything. So I want to change up the FE schemes and everything. So I want to change up the FE schemes. I want to change up the turbulence models. So a number of things need to be changed. And of course I want to change the mesh as well to make it more accurate and reflective of what we want to do here. Okay, so I'll just call this a RANS template, because I will probably be copying and pasting files from this template into somewhat other things as well. Okay, so this is the template. Okay, and how big is this? This is about 119 kilobytes. Shouldn't be too much of a problem to add everything to Git. So what I'll do is I'll just add and commit. Okay, so normally what I'll do, if you've been watching my videos, I do the git add command first, like so, git add, and then after that I'll do a git commit with the message, right? So if you want to start speeding up the process and you want to run the commands one after another, just put a $N sign. So this is very useful if you don't want to wait for the command to finish. Okay, so this N sign actually runs the commands one after another, as if it were a script. So this allows you to automate it slightly. Okay, so let me show you what it does. Okay, so I want to type, I added a new template file for RANS. Okay, so this is git add, and then you do git commit straight after it. So this is some bash terminal command. It's very useful to learn to speed up your workflow. So you see, once I do that, you instantly see that the what do you call that? The files are immediately staged to commit. Alright, so if you take a look at git log one line, okay, we see that we have a new commit here. and we are ready to push it to the remote, which is GitHub, or we call it remote. All right, so we can just put git push, and all right, it'll tell us to git push set upstream origin expt or something. All right. Oh, I forgot to tell you. Yes, I'm actually on a branch, but don't let that confuse you first. Let me get back to git checkout master. All right. All right. So okay. Let's retrace some steps. I think I missed a few steps there. All right. So what I did first, all right, I'm basically making like a new. I'm basically like adding sort of a new feature. All right, I'm adding a new addition. So I call this addition the what do you call it? The intermediate plus. Okay, because this is sort of the second half of the OpenFOAM intermediate part. So what I can do is list out. I can make a new branch, so to speak. What is a branch? If you're not familiar, here's something that could help. All right, I'll put a new. All right, let's see. Use this paint. Okay, so normally, all right, you are on your computer here. All right, and you're always adding stuff to Git and you're pushing it to the remote. Okay, so every time you upload, you push a change to Git, you will see different commits, right? Let's say this is your first commit, and then every time you push something to the remote, you see this arrow here from your local computer. It goes up to this commit. So this normally what you upload to is called the master branch or the main branch, right? So let's say you want to try out some experiments. I mean, in the sense that you want to mess around with the files. All right, you want to mess around with the files. Okay, and you don't want it to affect anything on your main or master branch. So what you do is you make a new branch. Okay, so you can have a separate set of commits here. All right, so what you actually do when you do this branching, okay, on your local computer you will actually have, let's say, this master branch. Okay, let's slow down a little bit. Can be a bit complicated to explain first time. So I mean, these ideas are the same. You have something local on your computer and you have a local Git repository. Remember, in your local computer you have this large Git file, right? So you put cd and then you do a double tab and you see this Git folder here. So this Git folder actually tracks, I mean, all the changes you have made on your local repository. So every time you do a git add and git commit, you are actually adding some new changes which you see here. So if you do a git log, you will see two commits here. One is the initial commit, one is to erase the history, so to speak, to save space. Okay, so these are the two local commits. So now if I want to start messing around and not affect anything in the main or master branch, then I will have to make a branch locally, and when so that I can start messing around with something we can sort of call an experimental branch. Alright, I can go and mess around and make as many commits as I want, and then when we are done, we can actually merge. Okay, so every time I'm here, I'm actually making changes to the files and folders without making changes to this main branch here, or your master branch. Okay, so this is like a side project, if you will, you can have this so-called side projects that you can go and experiment around with, and once you're done, you can merge it. You can consolidate all the changes and you put it back onto your main or master branch. Alright, so this is the idea of branching, and this is you can, and every time you have a branch, you can push this branch to the remote, or you can push these branches to GitHub, and what GitHub does is that it will copy exactly what you do on your local computer every time you push it up. So if you're making a new branch here and you push the changes up to GitHub, what GitHub does is to reflect those changes by making another branch. Okay, so let me demonstrate here. Okay, so this we have not really gone too much yet. Okay, so let's see. If you want, so first thing first, all right, if you want to make a new branch, or you want to list all the branches available, you type this command called git branch. Okay, so what git branch shows you is that we are on the master branch, and then I've made a branch called the experimental branch because I was messing around and making my own experiments. So if we want to delete a branch, we just do git branch, okay, d. Okay, anyway, git branch d, and then you just type experiment. Okay, git branch dash d. Hope that's simple enough. Okay, git branch dash d experiment. Alright, and then it will say here the experiment is not fully merged. So remember, we are talking about merging just now when we are supposed to merge changes back into, you know, the main branch, or the master branch here. So if we don't merge the branch back, and then we start to say, hey, I want to delete this branch now. Okay, I want to delete this branch now by like doing something like that. I want to delete it. Git will not always allow you to do that. Why? Because it's a sort of a safety precaution. So you sort of have to force delete. Okay, so to force delete, Git already gives you the right commands here, which are git branch dash d, capital D this time. So git branch dash d experiment. Okay, so now we have deleted that branch, and we can take a look at the git log. It's just the same too. So that's how to delete branches. And let's say you want to make a new branch. All right, you want to make a new branch, and let's call this branch the experimental branch, or we call it the, let's call this the RANS experiment branch, Reynolds Average Navier-Stokes experimental branch. Okay, experiment RANS. All right, so what does that do? When you type git branch again, you will see that we have made a new branch called experiment RANS. All right, so if we want to switch to that branch so that when we make changes, we are making it to that branch, we can type the following. So git checkout. So we are checking out a branch, so to speak. So git checkout experiment RANS. So we are going to take a look at this branch. Okay, so so now we have made a new branch. All right, we have made a new branch. Let's see, I want to get rid of that. Okay, I'm not too experienced with game, but okay, let's try again. Okay, we have our main master branch, so to speak, and let's say we are making a new branch now. We haven't committed or made anything, so when we made a new branch, you know, we are still like so-called looking with our eyes at this branch here, the main branch. So when we do git checkout, okay, when we do git checkout, we git checkout the branch, we are actually changing sort of this guy. Let's see, crop tool. No. Okay, we are actually looking now at this branch. We are looking at this branch now. So let's do git checkout experiment rents, and now we are on the experiment rents branch. Okay, so now let's do this. I'm gonna make the directory intermediate plus, okay, and then I'm gonna copy k epsilon into the intermediate. Let's see, intermediate plus, and I'll put it there. Okay, let's go to intermediate plus, and let's check the size by saying DUSH. Alright, let's bring up the other terminal. Alright, so now we have that. Again, we can do the git add, and since I want to commit my changes now, I'll do git add and git commit. Okay. Okay, let's rename it. I don't want to have this name. So let's rename this as PimpoFoam template rents. Okay, so that's the template name. Okay, so now I want to do I want to commit the changes and push. So git add everything here and git commit, and baseline file is here. Okay, and I want to git push. Alright, so that executes commands one after another, and when we execute git push, it says we need to set upstream as the origin experiment. It says git push set upstream origin experimental rents. So what is this saying? It's saying that, okay, when I push changes onto GitHub, I need to specify that I'm pushing to the experimental rents branch. So let's just do exactly what it says. Set upstream, okay, origin experimental rents, and okay, I'll enter my username and password. Alright, and let's go and take a look at the Git repository. Okay, so what I can do to check the URL is I'll do concatenate is cat, which just basically prints out files for you. Concatenate.git, git is that folder again, and we go to the config file, and this is where the URL is. So I'm going to copy and paste. Okay, I'm going to copy and paste it here, and take a look. We now have two branches. One is the master branch, and one is this experimental rents branch. So we see the master branch doesn't have any new changes here, but when we take a look at the experimental rents branch, we see an intermediate plus, and then the PimpoFoam template rents folder we just created. I just created. Yeah. So hopefully that gives you an idea of how to do stuff in branches. I'm not going to tell you, I'm kind of running out of time, so I'm not going to tell you about merging just yet, but this is what branching is about. Okay, so now let's see. There are a few more things I want to do with this, but I guess that's it for this video. I just basically talked you through more about Git branching, but I've not gotten into the meat of the OpenFOAM just yet. But more of that in the next video. But thanks for watching anyway. Do leave a like and subscribe if you found this useful. See ya.